What if I told you you can unlock gorgeous harmonies on guitar through simple bar chord shapes? Now, to be clear, you're not going to be playing a single bar chord throughout this video, but we will be using them to unlock their hidden power through third harmony. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how these simple shapes can totally change your approach to playing guitar. But before we get to that, if you could like this video right now, I'd really appreciate it. It'll push it out there into the world of YouTube. If you like the content I release each week and you haven't already, I'd appreciate your subscription to the channel. And below in the description of this video, there is a link to a free workshop I did on how to back a singer on guitar. All interesting ways to create interesting arrangements to support a singer, including some of the things that we talk about today and a whole lot more. So I think you'll really like that. All right, let's get to it. So we can use the root 6 and root 5 major and bar chord forms to extract third harmony from them. So if I take this root 6 C major bar chord at the 8th position, inside of it I have two instances of third harmony. I can play this one, this little shape within the larger form, and that's what I call a lower third, just because it's lower in the chord, versus this one, which is higher in the chord. Okay, so that's extracting some third harmony from within this bar chord form. This is a major third, this is a minor third. So even though I'm playing a major bar chord form, there is a minor third in there, because major chords are built off a major third and then a minor third, stacked thirds. If you don't understand that, it doesn't matter. All I want you to get from this is that there's two instances of third harmony inside this C major bar chord. We also have the minor equivalents. So here we have a third harmony inside the minor root 6 bar chord form, and we have the upper minor third as well inside the same bar chord shape. So this makes it easy to find if you know the bar chord form, because it anchors it down on the fretboard. It becomes a point of reference to find these harmony shapes, and we're going to be using them very shortly to create some really cool sounding music. Now the root 5 equivalents, if I come down to C major root 5, we have two instances of third harmony again. We've got this one here, the lower, and then a little higher in the form of the bar chord here is the second instance of third harmony. So we've got this one here, which happens to be a major third, and the minor third, that stacked thirds thing again, but relating to C major root 5 bar chord. And then the equivalent root 5 minor shape with its thirds, we get a third here. We've just flatted the third in the major chord to get this third harmony relating to the minor shape, as you can see the diagrams on the screen here, and another third harmony shape higher up in that same chord form, root 5 C minor in this case. So that's how we extract the harmonies. That's the easiest way I know to visualize the third harmony on the fretboard using chord forms you already know. So third harmony and the root 5 root 6 bar chord form. So one way we could use this is to simply follow the chords of a progression, playing the equivalent or corresponding third harmony relating to the chord at the time in the progression. So let's say we have a chord progression in the key of A minor, and it goes A minor to F, to C, to G. So I could take, let's say, the third harmony from the root 6 bar chord form, and I'll take the lower third harmony. So this one here, I need A minor, don't I? So this is the lower third harmony in the A minor root 6 bar chord form. So that's the first chord. Then I could go down to the F equivalent third harmony in the root 6 bar chord form for the F chord of the progression. Then it went to a C chord in the progression, and then down to G. So I'm just following the chords of that progression up to C, down to G. Or we could take, let's say, the lower third harmony in the root 5 bar chord form. So that'll put us up here with the A minor, down to F, down to C, and up to G. Or if we want to keep it around the same sort of neighborhood, then we could do something like the root 6 for A minor and the F, and then we could do the third from the root 5 C there, and then the higher of the thirds in the root 6 there. So that kind of keeps it around the same area. Okay, so you get the idea. Now on its own it sounds a little empty, and you wouldn't want to do that perhaps for too long before something else comes in, but these things can sound great just over someone else strumming chords. So if we have that chord progression, so where someone's strumming A minor to the F to the G, And if I take, let's say, the root 6 forms here, A minor, F, C to the G, sits really nicely on top, or the root 5s to the F, to the C, G, or some combination. So we have the root 6, third harmonies, to the root 5, back to root 6. Okay, you can see and hear more the point how that sounds really nice as a secondary part on top. Beautiful harmony while the chords are happening. Instead of joining the other guitar player strumming the chords, you can create a bigger sound spectrum, if you like, bigger sound overall by putting those thirds in. This happens in songs all the time. Often it's subtle, but if they weren't there, you would notice the difference. So if we can extract the third harmony from the root chord of a key, so for example, third harmony out of our root 6 major bar chord form here, then we can extract the harmony out of all the diatonic chords of the key. So in the key of C we have C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, back to C. So just like taking the third harmony out of the C major chord, we can take it out of the D minor chord, the 2 chord of the key. We can take it out of the E minor chord, the 3 chord, the F, 4 chord, 5 chord G, 6 chord, A minor. The third harmony exists in the diminished chord too, even if you don't know it. It's just this shape, back to C. So we can actually now harmonize C major using thirds, okay, relating to the root 6 bar chord form. So if I do that from the first available chord, bar chord in the key of C, root 6, which is F, then I've got F, G just harmonizing up the fretboard here, B minor, the B diminished, the C, what do we call it, the D minor, the E, etc., right? And when you see the fretboard diagram, like you see on the screen now, you can see sort of patterns, right? So if I've got the root chord, C major here, and there's my third harmony, either side of it are 2 of the minor harmony shapes, okay, relating to minor and diminished chords. And then there's 2 major shapes. So these things, when you see it and plot it out on the fretboard paper, like so, you can more see the shape, the patterns and the sequences that help you remember this. So what does this mean? This means that if someone's even just staying on a C chord for a few bars or whatever, you can play any of these on top and create movement over the top of the chord. For example, I might take this C and I might go up 2, and then I might play 1 below and back into C. All I'm doing there is playing a little line, as you would from the C major scale on top of a C major chord, but I'm harmonizing it now with thirds, using this whole strategy of relating it to root 6 bar chord forms. You want to know the surroundings of the chord in the key. So if I had a 5 chord G and there's my third, what's it look above it? Well, here's A minor, here's B diminished. What's it look like below? Well, there's an F, there's an E in open position, and back to G. So you could take each of the chords, A minor, play a couple above, maybe 1 below, and back in. So you start to just get familiar with the bigger picture of harmonizing thirds. And you can do this with the root 5 bar chord forms, the higher third in this form. It's endless, really, like most things in music. So if we come back to this chord progression that we were playing before, so we had a minor chord, we had the F, we had the C, and we had the G. So instead of just playing the root harmony, A minor, for example, down to F, up to C, and down to G, we can create movement. We can kind of fill in the gaps while the chord's just staying static each time before moving to the next chord of the progression, of course. So we might do something like A minor, and then step down to the G. We could climb up to C, and to the G rather, back to the A minor, right? That creates more interest, more of a secondary sort of line to the chord progression. Something like that, right? You can see how you can really create a second sort of voice there. So let me show you how that sounds on top of our progression. So we've got the A minor chord, we've got the F, we've got the C, and we've got the G. So we might go Okay, so you can see how it can sound great on its own, but it can sound really good over the top of a chord progression. So the possibilities become many, many more, multiplied dramatically when you realize, hey, I can apply this to the whole scale, all the chords in the scale, therefore harmonize the whole scale in thirds, and then get all this inner movement when applying it over the top of a chord progression. Now, if you want a little bit of a bigger sound, you want to flesh it out a little bit more, then a great thing you can do with the third harmony is add droning open strings. So we had our progression before that, what was it? It was A minor to F to C to G. So if I have like my A minor harmony, the lower of the two harmonies that exist in the root 6 A minor bar chord, I could play that and include the open droning top strings. They're B and E, they're in the key of A minor, so it works. Even if they weren't, we could still make it work because it could create some really cool dissonances. But in the key of A minor, you're going to be pretty safe with the open strings. So we could use a droning open string with our third harmony there. When it goes to F, same sort of thing, droning the open top strings. When it goes to the C, up to the C harmony, with the droning open strings and the G, right? The open strings stay constant and react in different ways to the chords, so they actually add some extensions in a lot of cases that you don't have to have any idea about. You just get in it by playing the third harmony and including some droning open strings. So you might do a picking pattern, something like this. Right, so I'm on my A minor, the open droning strings, the F, G, C rather, and now G. Right, really cool sound, and it can sound great on top of the chord progression too. It sounds good on its own, but if we had that chord progression, so that's our A minor, just let it cycle through, and I'll play that example with the chords. So we got A minor, to the F, to the C, and the G, right? So it sounds great on its own, it sounds great with a chord progression. Another example, if I was using some higher third harmonies from root 5 bar chord forms, I could include the open E here on this A minor. I go down to F, and then I can grab the upper third in the root 6 form here, keep it in the same neighborhood, and then back to the root 5 third harmony, extracting from that chord, right? So maybe something simple like this. The F, the C, and the G. The possibilities are endless. Once you realize that you can add some open strings, get a bigger sound, you can harmonize the scale, do all these things, then, and do them via the root 6 and root 5 bar chord forms, there's a whole lot of stuff you can do with harmony. And you don't even need to understand all the theory behind it to do it. So enjoy that. It's a lot of fun to play around with. Now, you're going to hear thirds in songs a lot now if you work with it, because once you start to work with something in your playing, you start to recognize how prevalent these things can be in the music you already listen to. So an example of thirds being used as a harmony over a chord progression would be Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. So the main progression in that song, in the verse, we're in 6/8 time, is E minor, and then D to C, right? E minor, D to C. And there's a little line harmonized on top of that progression using thirds that goes, and then it repeats, but it's slightly different. And then again, and then it goes to the G, B7, E minor. Okay, that's happening over the top of the chords. So if I can, let's see if I can pedal the root note to the chord so you can kind of hear it in a bit more context. So the E minor with the harmony of the third, D, then to C, E minor to D, back to C there, E minor once again, D, C, and then we've got our G, B7, E minor. So it's targeting the chords with the thirds and creating little in a movement like we did before to create some interest and some movement over the static chord progression, if you like. So that's one example. There are many I'm sure you'll discover, and when you learn these, they give you insights and further ideas of how you can implement this really gorgeous harmony into your guitar playing. If you like this video, then you'll love this free workshop called Dynamic and Compelling Ways for Arranging Music to Accompany a Singer on One Guitar. In it, I teach and train effective ways to create amazing sounding arrangements for a single guitar and vocal. So whether you're someone who would like to be able to create the perfect arrangement of a song, or a singer-songwriter who would like to be able to accompany themselves on guitar, or a guitar player who would simply like to have more ways to express themselves on the instrument, then this workshop is for you. Better yet, I have an actual singer on hand throughout the workshop to demonstrate all the concepts covered so you can hear just how effective they are. Everything is put to the test. No theorizing, just practical ways to create arrangements of songs that sound amazing. Plus, you'll also receive a PDF booklet that complements the class, offering tools and concepts you can use as well as worksheets for your arrangements. So click the link in the description below this video and download your free video workshop, Dynamic and Compelling Ways for Arranging Music to Accompany a Singer on One Guitar. You'll have it in your inbox within minutes. Let me know in the comments what acoustic guitar topics you'd like to see covered in future videos. I do read the comments and I take a lot of the suggestions on board, and many of them do become future videos on the channel. So if you want to see something, don't be shy, drop us a line. I would love to hear from you. If you like this video, I'd really appreciate it. And if you haven't already and you like the content I release each week, I'd really appreciate your subscription to the channel as well. This is Simon Candy from acousticguitarlessonsonline.net. Thank you so much for sticking around and checking out this video. I really do appreciate it, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.